I am back with another Q&A where I'm answering your questions about my upcoming book, Design to Sell. First, Design to Sell is a guide to help knit and crochet designers to launch, market, and sell their books without all the guesswork, without all the burnout. And it's taken information from my almost 20 years of experience. It's taken concepts and case studies from working with other designers over the past few years. So it's coming to you with strategies that actually works, not just tactics that people learn on the internet. These are actual things that I've implemented in my business, my clients have implemented in their business to generate revenue in their business. And it's not just selling $5 patterns. I don't believe just selling one pattern at a time is enough to make any substantial revenue in your business. So that's why I have many different revenue streams besides just selling one pattern on Ravelry that will help you to live the life you actually want. Okay, so in the last live, I answered two questions. The first question was, who is this book for? And what is Designed to Sell? So those questions got answered in the last video. So if you missed those, go ahead and watch it. Just scroll back through my feed and you'll see it. In today's conversation, we're going to be answering two more questions. Let's see. The first one is, what will I learn in the book, right? When you get your copy of Design to Sell, what will you learn? You will learn how to identify your ideal audience. That is the crux, the core, the basis, the foundation of everything I teach. When you first work with me, whether you're a one-off client or you're in my program, Pattern Partnership, this is something that we focus on, because if you don't understand who your audience is, who you're selling to, what they want, why they want it, then you're going to really struggle to make content that connects with them. So if you've been posted on social media and you're just like, no one's responding, you're putting stuff out there and just you're not getting engagement, you're not making sales, that could be why, right? You're not clear on who you're serving. You're not clear on who your pattern is for. And yes, you want your patterns to be for everyone, but realistically, it's not going to be for everyone, right? That's why there is Coke and Pepsi. That's why there is, sock down, top down and cuff up socks, right? Everything you make will not be for everyone. You just need to figure out who that right audience is and speak directly to them. And we walk through that inside the book. And one of my beta readers said that the description, how it's explained in this book, is the best she's ever seen it explained, especially to someone in this industry. So that's high marks for me, because I've worked really hard over the past many, many years to really hone in on getting clear on how to explain that concept to my audience, to my students, so that they can actually use that information, okay? So one of the other things you'll learn is how to plan intentionally your launches, right? So you're not just gonna make a pattern and then just throw it out there on Ravelry, Payhip, or wherever. We're talking about intentionally launching your patterns to build buzz, to build excitement, to actually get people who want it to come and buy it. You'll also learn how to use content marketing effectively, right? We're not just going to post just to post. We're going to post to make it effective. We're going to post and create marketing strategies, not just posting, right? When we're talking about marketing, we're not just talking about making a TikTok or an Instagram post or something like that. There's more to it. There's strategy, and we talk about that in the book. You'll learn how to sell more with your existing catalog. which is something that I hear so many times from my knit and crochet designers. They are constantly selling, they're constantly making new patterns because that's the only way that they actually make sales, right? They put out a new pattern, they get a few sales, they do it all over again. But they have this massive catalog of patterns sitting there collecting virtual dust. We're going to show you how to take those patterns and bring them back into the fold and actually make sales from them so that you can actually take a break. You don't have to be on that launch and hamster wheel constantly pushing out new patterns and products, right? Because the reality is there's millions of design knitters and crocheters out there. And if you've only sold 10, 20, 50, well, you're there's so many more people that you could be selling to. So why reinvent the wheel and try to sell or try to make something brand new, which is costly. We talk about this in the book. We talk about how costly it is to create new patterns, and the risk of creating new patterns when you already have, money that you've paid into tech editing, photography, and stuff like that you should actually be putting back out there, right? You've already done the work on those patterns that are in your back catalog. So we want to focus on how to generate revenue with those. Let's see. And then the other thing you'll learn is how to create a sustained marketing system. So marketing, like we just mentioned, is not just about you posting once or twice on social media. It's not just about sending emails. It's a whole process of how do you want to talk to your audience? How do you want to show up? How do you really want people to feel? And creating content, maybe it's YouTube's and maybe it's more videos, but it's a marketing system that's all tied together, not just doing one thing in a silo, but how to connect everything you do together so that people are actually seeing you and you're actually making sales. So we talk about that in the book. And I feel like this is something that a lot of makers, crafters, we don't really talk about because we get into this thing that we're doing because we love it. It's fun. But when you start to think about making it into a business, you really need to start thinking about your systems and processes and how to sustain some of those efforts so that you're not constantly on this hamster wheel of making and putting out new stuff because that's the only way you've made sales in the past. We're going to change that. Okay? So that might sound like a lot, and we cover so much more in the book. But once you get into the book, I think it'll be very easy for you to really see where you need to focus your energy. And even if you don't, we have a resource in the book to help you to figure out where to focus your energy based on where you are. Because you might be reading the book and oh, these are such great ideas. I want to try them all. Don't try them all. Don't do everything you see in this book. That's not what it's here for. We have a resource to help you to figure out where to start. If you feel overwhelmed, we're going to show you exactly, if you're in this stage, read these chapters, focus on these things. And if you're more advanced, we got you too. So it's a lot of information, but I think it's all necessary, but you don't have to do it all at once. If you're just by yourself, you're just a one-person team, right? You can't afford to do everything in this book. You just don't have the time. You just don't have the energy. And if you have kids or family or anyone who depends on you, you have a full-time job, then, I'm doing you a disservice if I'm telling you to do everything. But we're giving you concepts that you can roll into your existing workflow and make it better. Okay? So if you have any questions on that, let me know. Another question that I get is, will this book work even if I'm not tech savvy? Tech savvy. Yeah. Absolutely. I know what I know, but it's not a lot. And I like to keep my systems really simple because I don't want to have, funnels and all these things that are like so intricate that I have to exert so much energy to do it and then I don't want to do it. I like making things simple that it's attainable, not just for me but for you too. So this book is written in plain language. We're not using a lot of jargon, and where you might see a jargon, I do try to explain those because I do understand like some things that I've said and done with almost 20 years of experience. You might be just starting out and you don't really know those terminologies, so we explain those. The book offers actionable tips. So I don't want you to just read it just to read it. The whole point is for you to read it and understand, and read it and do, read it, implement, read and put it into action so that you're actually seeing result, right? And these are tips that you can implement even if you're not a marketer. Nobody taught you how to run a business, right? No one taught you how to be a marketer. So we're going to show you exactly how to do everything we talk about in the book. No fancy tools required, no nothing. You don't need to have a fancy degree or anything like that. Everything is just simply laid out with strategies, with examples, so you can put yourself in those case studies and see exactly how things work and apply it to your business. That's the whole point of this book. Read, implement. Read, implement. Right? We're not just going to absorb it and think we're going to get through it through osmosis. Right? We're going to do the work. It's not going to be easy work, but I hope that the strategies that we put in place in this book will make it so much easier for you to see, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. Here are the steps to get there. And my way might not be exactly the way you want to go, but I think there's enough information in the book to help you figure out, okay, I see where she's going with this. I'm going to do this way. I'm going to do this. All right? So those are the 2 questions I'm going to answer today. Let's review. The first question is, what will I actually learn in the book? We're talking about defining your ideal audience, intentionally launching, how to make use of your back catalog, right? So if those are the things that you are wanting to really learn about, pre-order the book. We also talked about, how much tech do you need to know? You don't need to know any tech. You don't need to be a marketer. You don't need to have a ton of experience. Everything is laid out in simple forms. My beta readers, they were so excited to read this book because it wasn't filled with a lot of fancy jargons and a lot of big tech stuff. That's not what we're here for. You want to get back to your work, right? You want to get back to your knitting, crocheting, designing. You don't want to spend time going through YouTube University to learn all this stuff. That's why I've laid it out simply so that you can get the information you need, implement it, and get back to work. So those are the 2 questions I'm answering in today's Q&A. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I cannot wait to share with you more. I'm also sharing with you pages from the book so you can get an idea of my writing style if you're not familiar with my work, and to get an idea of what's in the book. There's the table of content. I'm sharing that so you see what is covered in the book. So go ahead. I'm going to link all those below so that you can see what is on offer and to get an idea to see if this is the right thing for you. Right now, the book is on pre-order. It's at a discounted rate. Grab it now because once the book launch on September 9th, the price will go up. And I want you to have, as much information as you can to hit Q4, 4th quarter, October, November, December, our busiest season, with a bang, right? I want you to have the best year ever, the best quarter. So grab your copy now and start building those marketing strategies into your business so that you can have the best quarter 4 of your life. All right, I can't wait to see everything that you do. Talk to you later. Bye for now.